Hi, the class we are talking about today is called Best Practices. It is course 5 of the administrator's credential. And so, first of all, I want to start out by asking you how many of you have heard of the early learning standards? Each state has early learning standards. In Wisconsin, it's called Wisconsin Model Early Learning Standards, and it may be called something else in your state. So, the early learning standards specify developmental expectations for children from birth through entrance into first grade. The standards reflect the domain of a child's learning and development. The domains include health and physical development, social and emotional development, language development and communication, approaches to learning, and cognition and general knowledge. There may be some others that your state adds, or there may be something else that they are called. But those are the general areas that are generally covered. So, when we're talking about best practices, we want to address the whole child. In saying this, we recognize that the aspects of development are simultaneous and intertwined. So, as I said before, the name of this course is Best Practices. What are the basic concepts that underlie that best practice? The first one is thinking about each child as a whole child. With this, we will be talking about the different developmental domains and breaking them down into all of the different areas. We know children don't come with all of the domains separate. They are all intertwined, somewhat like braiding hair. Development that happens across many different domains. Sometimes a child may advance in one area and may regress in another area. Even so, all of these areas are intertwined. Delays in one area may affect another area. We want to make sure that we look at the child as a whole child, not separating them into different areas of development. We also need to be able to talk to a child's family about these domains of development and let them know that we look at their child as a whole child. Each child is unique. Another concept that we have to look at is that each child is unique. No two children are alike. Even identical twins still develop at different rates. All have something that differentiates them from one another. I myself have twins, and one of my twins is 6'4". You can tell they're older now, and the other one is only 5'11". And that's not just as adults, but even as children, they were so different. One of them, well, you know what? They're not identical twins, but they're twins. So, but even with identical twins, there is such a difference that a lot of times people can tell them they're different just because of their unique features, even if it's one little thing. So, like with my twins, of course, there are obvious difference because they're not identical, but quote unquote identical twins can still be told apart. So, it is important as we look at our curriculum to address the needs of children and look at each child individually. There are many things that we do as a large group, but we have to plan for the developmental needs of each individual child as well. So going back to when I was talking about my twins, I guess the point was that my twins being the exact same age, they developed at different stages or at different rates. One of them started walking when he was 11 months. The other one didn't start walking until he was 14 months. And so that's one of the things that we're talking about when we say that each child is unique. So we also have to look at each child in the context of their family and view families as partners. When we enroll a child in our programs, we enroll the child's family. And we have to work together as partners in that child's development. The next concept that we have to consider is the developmentally the appropriateness of curriculum and the setting of a developmentally appropriate environment. As we go through the course, we will discuss more about what we mean by developmentally appropriate practices. But for right now, we will just mention the importance of looking at each child and where they are in their own development. Another basic concept is that care is inseparable from education. At one point, the main focus was care, and that's probably where the term child care came from. There was the focus on nurturing children, but no real focus on education. We recognize that children are learning all the time, and we can't separate care from education. If you are providing developmentally appropriate curriculum and environment for each child, they are going to be learning. So, care and education is inseparable. We need to prepare the environment so that each child can initiate their own learning, an environment in which they can take steps to engage in activities and interact with other children and learn. That's an important step in their self concept and their skill and ability to become an individual. These are the basic concepts that we will be looking at as we are talking about child development. Earlier, I mentioned the developmental domains. Health and physical development encompasses emerging knowledge and practices related to health, safety, and nutrition that promote physical well being. Physical development encompasses rate of growth and muscle control or motor development. Fine or motor skill, fine or motor control refers to such abilities as manipulation of materials and tools, hand dominance, and eye coordination. Gross or large motor control refers to such characteristics as balance, coordination, purposeful control, locomotion, and stability of body movements and functions. Now, for social and emotional development, this domain includes children's feelings about themselves and others, their ability to form relationships, interests in and skills needed to maintain positive relationships with adults and children, the ability to understand the perspective and feelings of others, and skills needed to succeed in a group setting. Social and emotional competence is developed from infancy through the toddler and preschool years and beyond. Children's early relationships are the foundation for social and emotional competence and affects all other developmental domains. Social competence is the ability to achieve personal goals in social interactions while maintaining positive relationships with others. For language development and communication, this domain refers to children's developing the ability to understand and convey meaning through language. Language development is reflected in children's progress toward acquiring skills in the area of listening and understanding, speaking and communicating, and early literacy. Language development occurs in the context of relationships, encompasses all forms of communication, both verbal and nonverbal, and moves children along the continuum of early literacy, and also includes learning more than one language at a time. And another developmental domain is approaches to learning. This domain, the one most subject to individual variation, recognizes that children approach learning in different ways and emphasizes the development of positive attitudes and dispositions to acquire information. It honors that children learn within the context of their family and culture. It is inclusive of a child's curiosity about the world and the importance that imagination and invention play in openness to new tasks and challenges. It stresses the importance of nurturing initiative, task persistence, and attentiveness in learning while encouraging reflection and interpretation. It addresses the important aspect of how we learn as well as what we learn. And then cognition and general knowledge. This domain recognizes children's search for meaning as the basis for intellectual development. The components focus on children's curiosity about the world and the developing ability to acquire, organize, and use information in increasingly complex ways to satisfy that curiosity. Children are engaged in and appreciate the arts as an organizing framework for expressing ideas and feelings. Primary components include mathematics and logical thinking, scientific thinking, and early problem solving.